welcome back to Hands of Horology. My name is Raymond, and today we're going to be replacing the crystal on this vintage Seiko Lord Matic. This is another watch that I found at my local flea market. In total, I paid $36 or $37 for it. You can see it's got a cracked crystal, but other than that, it runs. I haven't had a look inside of it, so we're gonna open it up together. A little bit about myself. I got into watches about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, and it's really been something of a deep dive. I love tinkering, I love playing with things, so it's only natural that I want to get into these watches and really understand and basically see what makes them tick. Overall, the watch is not in terrible condition, as you can see. It's definitely been beat up, beat on, but it's working. It winds. The crown is a little bit crooked, as you can see. And isn't that dial just spectacular? I love this blue sunburst color. This specific Lord Matic is from 1972. The serial number for the movement would be 5606, and it's a 56067071, which dates to 1972. And after some research, I saw that during the late 60s to 70s, Seiko had two primary factories, one called the Suwa and the other Daini, D-A-I-N-I, Daini. This one would have been from the Suwa factory, so any movements with a 5600 serial would be a 21,600 beat per hour movement. And I believe later they came out with a 5100 model movement, which upped it to 28,800 beats. I've never replaced a crystal on any watch before, so this is all new for me. If you haven't watched my last video, I'll put a link above, go and check it out. I think later on I'll definitely try to service this movement, though I'm not comfortable right now. I want to work on a few more pocket watches first and basically start from the bottom. Opening this up, you can see the movement is in pretty, well, according to my eyes, my untrained eyes, I would say pretty good condition. It looks clean, ticks along, there's no obvious wear or tear. Oh, did you see that? So from my research, all of these movements should be front loading. However, this one just popped up, jumped up, as you saw, which leads me to believe it's missing a retaining clip. They should come out of the front, not the back. Alright, so let's push down this little lever and remove the stem. And as I said, it is crooked. You can see that. Something I'll think about replacing later on, but this video we're just going to do the crystal. And looking inside, you can see there's quite a lot of gunk that's built up. Yuck. Remember, 1972. It's been worn. It's been used and abused. Since getting into watches, I've kind of gravitated towards these vintage Japanese Seikos more than anything, just for the aesthetics. I think they just look fantastic. Man, look at all of this grime. what is that? Just years of sweat, right? All right, let's get to the watch. Like I said, it's missing the retaining clip, so it does just pull out of the back. I'm going to set that down on the side and let's get a closer look of the crystal. So this would have been a hardlex crystal, which is Seiko's proprietary, I guess, blend or crystal type. It's got a lovely bevel on the top edge, as you can see from the side view. I've done my best to try and buy an original, but there's nothing in my area. I did see a few websites in Japan selling OEM original replacements, but they cost way more than I paid for the watch, and I'm just going to go with what's locally available. So here you can see I'm just using my pry tool. There's a little groove in the retaining in this ring, which allows you to get it in there and just basically pry it out. Not in bad condition at all. And I guess the crystal should maybe push out. Well, yeah, there we go. Not much holding that in. Okay, so you can see that the crystal sits on that lip, and that lip should also come out. Okay, there we go. And it has, yeah, I guess this is the original rubber gasket in good condition, not cracked. Just gonna put that on the side. And I guess I'm gonna be able to just push the rest of that crystal out. All right, there we go. I measured this with my calipers off camera, and it's 30 mil in diameter and 1.6 millimeter thick. Like I said, I tried to find a replacement, but I couldn't find anything locally. So I just picked up two different thicknesses of sapphire crystals. I went with a 1.5 and a 1.2 millimeter. I bought two of each because, like I said, this is the first time I've ever replaced a crystal, and I could just imagine myself cracking one of them, so I picked up two of each. Obviously the 1.5 is very close to the original 1.6. Just open this up and let's have a look at it. Okay, so zooming in and putting it closer to the camera, you can kind of see there's a tiny bevel on both sides. So logically, the side with the deeper bevel would be the top side, so you're not scratching it. Sorry, scratching your hand every time you rub it across. And having a look at this ring, you can see some of the old glue. So I'm just going to take a very, very fine abrasive pad and get some of that glue off of there, which was actually working really well, but it was quite difficult to get down into the groove. So I'm just going to go very lightly. I don't want to scratch the bracket. Just going to use this razor and take off that dried glue. It's actually coming off very easily. Get a close up there, you can see it. And this is where I spent most of my time, just going over it countless times, trying to get it as clean as possible and get all of that gunk off of there. So the razor blade really helped for getting into the corner, into that little notch. I wouldn't say it's too bad for coming from 1972. I'm just going to use that very fine abrasive to go around and just clean it up a little bit. Just get some of that gunk off. I'm going to go with the 1.2 millimeter sapphire crystal. As it doesn't have that really pronounced bevel as the original, I'm going to go with this one so it sits a little bit lower and doesn't catch on anything if I accidentally hit the watch. So just a dry test fit. It fits in there really well, quite snug to be honest, and it looks good. As I said, these are sapphire replacements, so it's kind of like an upgrade. I don't know if it would be considered an upgrade in the world of watches. Alright, so here I'm using some GS Hyper Cement, which is specifically designed for gluing crystals. So I started with the little pricker, putting it on there, which I guess is the way you're meant to do it. But I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna go over with it, go overboard, and then I can clean up any of the excess once it dries. So I'm just going straight from the tube onto the bracket. And here I'm just double checking what's that top side before I put it in. Alright, and here is what it looks like. I left it under a stack of books to keep pressure downward while it dried, and I think it looks quite good. I was kind of worried at first that you're going to see these like blotches from the glue, but it dried completely clear. And so now I think we can start putting everything back together. So we're going to put that rubber gasket back on. And here you can see I'm just putting it back into the case. I'm not really too sure how much pressure to apply here, but it seems to be seating pretty easily, just with firm hand pressure, and that looks even all around. Alright, so here you can see the kind of press that I'm using with all of these different attachments, and I'm just gonna find one that fits over the crystal and sits basically on the edge. And it fits over the crystal, and now I've got the locking ring back on, so the force of the press is going fully onto the compression. I guess it's the bezel, the compression ring. The bezel here would be a compression ring, and I'm just rotating the watch a little bit and trying to keep an eye on it as it seats. And here I'm just getting a good look, going around making sure it's even and uniform. And at first glance I'm really liking that 1.2 millimeter crystal. It sits a bit lower. There's just one edge that's not seated as much as the other side, so a little bit more pressure, and I think that's done it. Yeah, that's looking good. Maybe in a later video I'll come back and try and do some work on the watch case, maybe polish the sides and get it looking new. But I'm happy with that. It looks good. So reassembly was just putting the movement back in, and I did a quick research for any retaining clips that I just can't find anything in my local area. And here is a close-up. You can see I'm shining the light directly over the crystal, so you can see there are no blemishes. The glue has dried completely transparent, and that looks great to me. So, minimal bevel on that crystal compared to the original, but I'm okay with that. It's ticking away. And I guess it's time to put some straps on. I've got this wonderful alligator leather strap, which I think is going to look perfect. It's going to match that vintage vibe. So I guess it's time to say thanks for joining me. Definitely smash that subscribe button, it really helps me out. This is just the second video, and come along for the journey. This is all new for me, and if you're getting into watches too and you like tinkering around, come along. Alright. Now, doesn't that just look fantastic? Definitely been around the block. Thanks for joining.